Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Organised. I have Krystal Jugarap here with me today. I'm going to give you, probably a decent bio this time on who this lovely woman is. So Krystal is a 2 times founder, brand visibility strategist, award-winning speaker, podcast host, philanthropist, community hype woman, and most importantly, mum to 2 little girls and a baby boy. Through the Empowered by Women platform, she continues to cultivate a community that uplifts women in their entrepreneurship through vendor fairs, networking events, annual summits, virtual workshops, and the Empowered by Women podcast, the online woman-owned small business directory, which now highlights more than 100 women-owned brands and so much more. The community is all about creating space for visibility, connection, and shared resources. It's Krystal's mission to remind women and future generations that they are not only capable, but so worthy of creating lives and businesses they love. I really love your statement. Welcome
Thank
to the show,
you.
Krystal. Welcome.
Thank you, Mel. I am so excited to be here and I'm excited to dive into whatever we're about to chat about today.
Yeah, look, I just want to know more about you. Like, what inspired you to do what you're doing, particularly with the Empowered by Women?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I know we have very limited time, so I'll try to keep it brief. But really long story short, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur since I was in high school. The crazy thing is, I grew up fairly traditionally and I didn't have any entrepreneurial role models around me. So, to kind of itch that entrepreneurial scratch, I would take on these jobs that felt like they were giving me some kind of autonomy, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward, I became a new mom. One of my past jobs was selling jewelry, and I had amassed so much jewelry. And my way back to myself as a new mom, because we all know we kind of go through that
Oh,
process,
yeah.
was creativity. I
Yeah.
grew up in a very creative household. And so one day, seeing all of this jewelry just completely overtaking my shelf, I was like, okay, we need to do something about it because this is very valuable space that we need,
Yeah.
especially, with all the kids' toys and clothes and
Mm-hmm.
things. I need to take back that shelf space. And as every entrepreneur story goes, I tried to find a solution online to fit all my jewelry. Couldn't find one that I liked. So I decided to create one for myself. And
Mm.
so that's what led me to launching my product line, Book of Bijoux. And in making that decision to launch my business, it just made me think of the community I once had selling jewelry, where we were surrounded by so many incredible women that were doing the same thing, that were very ambitious and supportive of each other, and the energy was just immaculate. So I said,
Mm.
how do I recreate that community for myself? Because I was adamant that
Yeah.
entrepreneurship was not going to be lonely for me. I know
Yeah.
it's a notion that is out there that's commonly stated, but that was not going to be my
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So I said, how do I start getting women together in person? And obviously, building a brand from scratch, you have to recognize the power of leveraging existing audiences. I mean, you
Yeah.
know very well with your
Yeah.
podcast.
Definitely.
So, with my product line, that's what I was doing. I was leveraging existing audiences with joint giveaways and things like that. But it really got to a point where, again, I want to have some amazing women in my circle. I want to take this relationship a little bit further and actually get to know the people that I'm collaborating with. So
Yeah.
I kind of that casually turned into our podcast. I just started interviewing them for fun. And then it took on another layer of how do I get these women together in person? We
Yeah.
hosted one market in 2022. And although I had no intention for Empowered by Women to turn into a business, that really solidified us as an emerging community where I saw other women basically saying, we need more of this. We need this community. We need this energy. We need this opportunity to connect with one another. And I got to bring my 2 daughters at the time, which was a very surreal
Wow.
experience because, again,
Yeah.
I didn't have that kind of role model. I didn't
Mm.
have that exposure to what else could be in
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
so that moment just was a really defining moment for the trajectory of Empowered by Women. It's kind of just naturally progressed from there.
Oh, that is so cool. And yeah, there is something that happens inside of you when you realize I am stepping into a different path than the generations before me. And I'm
Mhm.
breaking free from that time is money, all that hard work. I mean, this is hard work. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's very hard work, but it's so rewarding in being able to see lives changed the way that we do. And the fact that you could bring your daughters along yeah, you'd have that realization of going, you're going to be so much further ahead than I am when the time comes for you to work out what you want to do with your life. You're not going to be limited to just certain careers through colleges or whatever else there is. You're going to see possibilities of so much more that you're not always exposed to when you're at school. So I think that's exciting because I've had a very similar revelation with my kids, just going, you know what?
Mhm.
The world is your oyster.
And it's so beautiful, like, seeing the light bulbs start,
Yeah.
flickering on in their own minds and seeing how
Yep.
their creativity kind of ties in with
Yep.
all this imagination you're opening up for them.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm seeing it in my 9-year-old. He's got entrepreneur written all over him, the ideas, the things that come out with. I'm like, "We're gonna have to get you started sooner than later, I think."
I
It's
know.
it's just it's incredible, and, I certainly didn't have anything like that growing up. Even though my dad ran his own business, it was still the traditional, he was a mechanic, open a shop, work, do all of that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
this whole online world is just it's taken off. It's great.
Completely different.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to how you help women in what you do through your summits and your workshops and that. How do you help the women that you serve?
So it really started with visibility. That is, and that remains one of our core focuses and how we're supporting our women. So the event that we hosted in 2022 was a vendor market. So we had 20 women vendors, which was amazing.
Nice.
And from there, after that event, I got so many messages asking me, "Do you know anyone that sells this? And do you know anyone that sells this? And do you know anyone that sells this?" And I was always like, honestly, I go down an Instagram rabbit hole, clicking on hashtags, looking at who's following who, and finding my people that way. And being
Yeah.
very solution oriented, I was like, okay, there got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we started by launching our online directory, which we designed to make it very intuitive, very user friendly. It's open to the public. It's not just members only, but you can also go on there and be very intentional. So if I'm Asian, so if I wanted to find an Asian owned jewelry brand that I wanted to support, or maybe for if I wanted to find a Latino owned brand because it was Hispanic Heritage Month that I wanted to support, I could go on there and do that. So it was really about making it more accessible for the community to find and support these women owned brands. And from there, we started attracting all of these service based providers for some reason, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But they started seeing me doing more speaking engagements. And that conversation started of, oh, I want to be a speaker too. Like, how are you getting on these stages? And how are you finding these
Oh,
opportunities? So we've really expanded the way that we're offering our visibility from just vendor markets. We also have our pop up program where we're connecting vendors to different brick and mortars. And now we help them get on stages, whether it's Empowered by
wow.
Women stages or we're partnering with other organizations and event organizers, and also giving them access to media opportunities. So the visibility is one aspect of it. The next aspect is really just making support, education, resources, experts more accessible, and
Mm,
there are so many directories and marketplaces out there, but some of them really just aren't feasible for
yeah.
small business owners. And as women, we already have so many hurdles we face
And
in
expenses.
living
Yep.
life.
Yeah.
And then throw a business on top of that's really one of our core values. How do we make things as accessible as possible so that women, regardless of what stage in business they're in, they can feel supported? And then
Mhm.
the third layer of that is really just cultivating these opportunities for genuine connection. And I say with my whole heart that we attract the most incredible, amazing women. And that's what makes it so special, is because the women that come in, they see the vision and they truly want to support each other.
So powerful when you've got the right people aligned to your goals and your visions, because it just
Absolutely.
it just works like clockwork. It's so good.
It is, and we as women need that,
Yeah.
honestly, and there are I mean, very beginning of my entrepreneur stage, I had to have that conversation with myself of, "Hey, Crystal, like, it's okay to ask for help. We need to start getting comfortable asking for help,"
Yeah.
because we just inherently we naturally try to do everything for everyone, and put ourselves last.
Yep.
And we continue to take on the load and take on the load, take on the load, and then wonder why we're so exhausted at the end of the day and feeling unfulfilled and feeling like we don't have time for anything because
Yep.
we don't let anyone come in and support us.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's exactly what I say to all my clients all the time because, we have our to-do lists or whatever, and we put our own needs at the very bottom. We never get through the list, so we never get seen to. It's just, it's never ending. You're always busy, but what have you got to show for it kind of day? And
Exactly.
it's draining and it's discouraging too, because you're capable of more, you can
Hmm.
give more, you can do more, but you're just so exhausted from
And then,
all
yeah,
the
and
little
it does
things.
feel discouraging because you feel like you've done so much, yet you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
haven't done anything that matters.
Yeah. At least in your mind.
Like,
Yeah.
right, in your mind. Or
Yeah.
anything even that you, like, want to do,
Yeah,
because you've
exactly.
made it a point in your own head that everything else comes before your own wants and desires and
Yeah,
needs.
definitely. I always encourage people to, particularly the mums, to spend at least 10 minutes a day pouring into themselves, pouring into
Mhm.
their own cup, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mhm.
So you're going to end up enjoying your day more. You're going to be more productive. You're going to be more efficient in what you do because you're recharged. It's
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, driving a car and running out of fuel and you're just sitting on the motorway waiting for help. You don't want to get to that stage. You want to be refueling along the way. So, yeah,
Exactly, and I really do look at the work that I do as a form of self-love and self-care
yeah,
because the women that I'm surrounding myself with, they, like I
empowering.
said, are amazing.
Yeah,
And it feels like so fulfilling to be in this space so that even if I have to step away for work, I don't come back feeling exhausted and drained. And I could be tired, but I'm tired from doing the things that I
yeah.
love and that
And you're
light me up
satisfied. It's
so
like,
that I can come back to my kids and my family
yeah,
more patient and more engaged than ever before when I was
yeah,
going to a job that was even
yes.
more draining that I absolutely did not like.
Yep. Completely agree. Completely agree. It's a different level of exhaustion and tired. It's a real satisfied, I feel so good in what I've achieved and what I'm doing. And yeah,
Mhm.
I get it. I really do. So, what do you find is holding women back in moving forward in their future, in maybe pursuing their goals and dreams? What do you find is sort of the main thing that holds them back?
I really do think the biggest thing for us as women, especially as moms, is that it's hard for us to put ourselves first.
Yeah.
And for me, it really was a conscious choice that I made when I launched my business because for so long, up until that point, I had been doing everything everyone has asked me to do
Hmm.
and doing things. Well, I've always been kind of very untraditional, so there were still moments that I kind of followed my own
Yeah.
untraditional path. But other than that, I checked all of society's boxes, and
Mm,
I made a conscious choice one day. I was at home, and I was, you know what? I'm going to start betting on myself. I'm going to start living life my way. I'm going
mm,
to do things my way. I'm going to create the life that I've always wanted for myself, but I've never allowed myself to step into
mm.
because I've let everyone else's opinions and thoughts and visions for my life be the dictating factor.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that
at
sounds
some
like what
point,
I've gone through
Ri
recently. Sounds
well,
like something I could just say.
exactly, but at some point we have to honor ourselves, and that's a
Mm,
hard decision to make. And it's
yeah,
honestly a decision that we have to keep making over and over and over again.
it's
And
conscious effort.
it's hard communication with yourself. It's hard
Yeah,
conversations to have with your family, but it's consistent conversations that you need to keep on having so that it becomes a little bit easier every day to keep stepping into that woman that you want to become and that life that you want to have.
yeah. Oh, that's so true. I think regardless of anyone that's listening, whether they've got their own business or not, these are concepts that are worth grasping and getting your head around, that it is so important to ask for the help, to put yourself first, and just think about the direction and where you want to go as well, because you've got little ones potentially that are
Mhm,
watching and learning, and
mhm,
and they're going to follow what you do as well to a certain
mhm.
degree. They're going to copy. So it is important.
And the one thing that I say, because mom guilt, parent guilt, I don't know if your audience is just women, but parent guilt truly never goes away. There's always
Mm.
going to be lingering guilt in all of those moments that come up. And one thing that I love to share with the people that bring that question up of like, how do you deal with that? How do
Mm.
you deal with putting yourself first and all the guilt that comes with it? Is you're not just choosing yourself, you're showing your family that they're allowed to choose themselves too.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Because what message are we sending our children? If we don't ever look after ourselves, we don't go for our own goals, our own
Mhm.
dreams, we're telling them that, oh, you can have your dream, but when you grow up, that's it.
Then your dream's
Like,
no longer
you're
realistic, right?
yeah,
That's what
it's
we're
no longer
telling them.
valid. It's not worth anything. You then have
Mhm.
to sacrifice your dreams and your future and your happiness for your children. Well, they're gonna go, "Well, I don't want children then, like, whatever," you know? And I wanna be a grandparent. So it's what's the message that we're sending to our own children, let alone the other children that are out there too that
Mhm.
are watching and learning from their own mums that we're helping here.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I know your audience is not all entrepreneurs, but there's
yeah,
just so much knowledge that we can kind of
impart.
indirectly impart into our
Yeah.
children simply by the way that we're showing up for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. And like I said, you don't need to be an entrepreneur to be the role model that you want to
Mhm.
be for your kids. Like, even if you are slogging it out, working night shifts, you're doing this, you're doing that to make ends meet, to provide for your family and still provide a future for them, then
Mhm.
good on you. You are doing your bit. If you are at home, staying with the children, raising them while your partner is out working and you are up all hours of the night, feeding the baby, doing all of this, good on you. Like,
Mhm.
it is hard work, no matter what season, what stage you're at, what choices you've made. We are trying to do the best for our children, regardless of what
Mhm.
choices, whether we send them to daycare, we keep them home, whether we breastfeed, bottle feed, whatever, we're
Mhm.
all doing the best that we
It's about
can
giving your yeah. It's about
give
giving yourself
yourself some
grace.
grace. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. We're in sync.
Yeah.
It's about giving yourself grace. And one thing that I learned that I heard someone say, I think it was at the beginning of the year, that no one's ever actually said out loud is that it's okay to drop the ball.
Mm,
And that was so powerful for me. And I'm sure will resonate with a lot of your audience that we feel like we need to keep all of these balls in the
yeah,
air, but it's
yeah,
just not realistic.
yeah,
And we don't need to have this super mom badge that other people have given to us. You get
yeah,
to determine what makes you feel fulfilled and how you want to show up as a parent, as a professional, a partner, whatever it is. And it's okay if balls drop in different areas because that just means you were able to pour more time, love, and attention into the things that truly matter and that you wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Oh, couldn't have said it better myself. It's so good. What is one thing that you wish more women knew? Obviously, besides the things we've already talked about, but what's one thing that you wish they knew looking forward?
I want to say that there is, you know, that I'm a community girly. I'm a community hype woman. That was part of my bio.
Yeah.
I wanna say that there is support for everyone out there.
Mm, yeah,
And I say this because a lot of times the conversation could be about, just ask your partner for support, ask your family for support. Some people don't have that.
yeah,
And I wanna be mindful of that. But just because you might not have that family or that partner or whatever, there is still support out there if you're willing to look and
yeah.
if you're willing to put yourself in the rooms.
Yeah, and you're willing to invest in yourself a bit
Mhm.
because sometimes, depending on the level of support, it might come at a little bit of a cost, financially or with your time or in any other way. But if you're willing to go, I'm going to put myself first, I'm going to
Mhm.
invest in myself and in my future, which in turn will see the dividends in my own children, then
Absolutely.
go for it. I think go for it because you can only get so much always doing things for free as
Mhm.
well. You're only going to get so much out of it. And there's amazing free communities out there for sure.
Mhm.
But also look at where it is you want to go and what resources are available for that. And if it requires an investment of any sort, time can be a huge investment too.
Mhm.
Then consider
Yeah,
it.
and if you can't find one, create one. That's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Oh, well, I've pretty much done the same thing now that I think about it, yeah. It's like I created a community that fits
Yeah,
with what it is I was looking for that I couldn't find back then, and now I've got over 100 women in there. It's
exactly.
great.
We get to create what our normal looks like. And that sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah, Crystal, sure, whatever. Right. You really can. And it can start with just small steps, right? It
Yeah.
can start with just, okay, 5 minutes tomorrow. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm just going to have quiet time, right?
Yeah.
That could be your self care and just layer into that slowly but surely. And then
Definitely.
a year from today, you'll find yourself in this whole
Yeah.
new
Won't know
life,
yourself.
right? Where it feels more aligned, more fulfilled, and you've
Yeah.
recognized the power of giving yourself grace and the power of community.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. Oh, I love this. I feel like I could talk forever,
I
but
know.
of
I
course,
was trying to be
time.
mindful of the time, but Mel,
That's
like, this has
okay.
been so much fun.
That's okay. Oh, it's always the way. We just get chatting, and then before
Mhm.
you realize, time's just completely disappeared. But I've really enjoyed everything you've shared so far, and I'm sure the listeners have too. So where can they find you if they want to hear more and see more of what you're doing?
So my personal Instagram is I am Krystal J, Crystal with a K. And then if you're interested in our community women's platform, that's Empowered by Women, all one word. Women is spelled WMN. And that links back to all the websites. So follow us on there. If you're in the Bay Area, in California, in the US, I know you're not in the US, Mel,
That's
but if
okay.
anyone in your audience is in California, we also have our second annual summit coming up in person November 15th, and we'd love to have you join us.
Perfect. Well, I can tell you now there are plenty of listeners that are in California and surrounding states. So I'm sure it's probably not too big a stretch to maybe drive or fly.
It's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, it'll be worth it, I'm sure. And all the details will be in the description there to make it nice and easy for those that are listening. But thank you so much for coming on today, Krystal, and just sharing your story and sharing what it is that you're doing to help women in this current season. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel. It was so much fun, and we'll chat soon.
Definitely.